So welcome back to the TCM community, and I'm very happy to be here with Volker Scheidt. We had an appointment at the airport, and for those of you who don't know Volker Scheidt, he's incredible herbalist. When studying Chinese medicine, his books were really helpful to me. But I wanted to ask you. You were just in Holland for a course you're doing. What is it called?
Meta practice.
Meta practice. Yeah. So could you explain to us what is this idea about meta practice?
Okay. So, when we learn Chinese medicine, we all by now, I think, it's pretty clear to everyone. It wasn't always, but now I think it's very clear that Chinese medicine is not one thing. There's many different ways of doing Chinese medicine. So when you do acupuncture, there's Tung style, TCM style, that style, Chen style. But it's a bit like, like martial arts, many different styles.
Yeah.
But also in Chinese herbal medicine, now like the people do what they call Jingfang. But then Jingfang, there's different types of Jingfang. And there's TCM acupuncture, there's Korean herbal medicine, Japanese, Kampo, etc. So given that it's very different, the question then is, what do we do with that difference? How do we deal with that difference? So you can either, there's basically, I would say, three big ways how we can deal with it. Either we try to get rid of the difference and make one thing. Like say TCM, you could say that was an attempt by the Chinese state to bring all the different ways of doing Chinese medicine into one system, that satisfied everybody. You had a national curriculum, etc. So the other thing is where if you go to Taiwan, for instance, or if you go to Japan, you have loads of people doing their own thing. And you have this lineage and that lineage, and it's a little bit here now as well. But the problem of that then is I'm the truth.
Yeah.
I do the real thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Also, if you're a student and if you start, how do you know what you should do?
Right.
Should you do this? Should you do that? Or if you go through your career as a Chinese medicine practitioner, it's a bit in the end, we all find our own way of doing it, but it's often very haphazard way. So meta practice, if you actually also again look at the history of Chinese medicine, what people have done, people have long thought about how do we deal with this diversity, plurality, yes, okay? And meta practice is just a fancy name of how we can not make it an arbitrary thing,
right.
but work with difference productively. That's
Yeah.
what I would say meta practice is, yes?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so find a way of not having to choose, either I do this or either I do that, or I must follow this person, I must follow this person, but rather try to have a way of how we can work with all the tools that we have to have neither one system, yes, okay, nor just like many different schools that are each other's throat, yes, but really try to. So that's what I try to do.
So
in this course.
So in the course, you're not teaching all the systems. You're trying to get people to integrate these systems.
I have found it's difficult to explain in like 30 minutes.
No, of course.
Okay. But I use a methodology whereby we can look at the difference and then bring it all together.
Yeah.
Yes?
Okay.
So which works in a very clinically constructive way. Yes, like focused on clinical practice. So not like it's not about philosophy or anything. It's about clinical practice.
Yeah.
But if you look at how we look at the body in Chinese medicine, yes. So we look at the organs. We have channels. We have physiology, blood physiology. We have ideas of how we deal with pathogens. Now, if you know a bit about the history, these things, they didn't all come at the same time. They come at different historical moments. Yes? And the logics that they use are actually, when you look at it, they are not necessarily the same logic. Like, say, for instance, we use 5 phases. It's very cosmological. The idea is how we think is about resonance. Yes, like spring, green, liver, anger.
Right.
How do these things hang together? They hang together because of a certain idea of resonance. They all correspond with what we call wood.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
But then if you think about, like, say, a pathogen invading the body, we don't necessarily think about these kind of ideas of resonance. We think about something invading the body and going deeper into the body according to certain areas in the body. It's a very different, if you think about it, it's
Yeah.
a very different way. So we expect, you know, like when we talk about the 5 phases, we're trying to create a certain kind of order. If you think about pathogens, actually we think there's some evil coming into us and we need to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So that's not about creating order, that's about war. So these are not the same. Usually we don't think about it so well, but if you think about it a little bit deeper,
Yeah.
it's actually quite different.
Yeah.
So what I do, I have thought about this quite a lot. I try to look at all these. There's like, if you look at it very deeply, there's about 5-6 different ways of how we look in Chinese medicine at the body differently. So I go through all of these different ways and then try to find a way for people to bring it all together again. That's my way of dealing with it.
That's really interesting, because just now by explaining this, because you basically you're scrutinizing the regular the generalized TCM education, and then analyzing it and breaking it down and let us see that there are different patterns from different eras. Because you just now with this talk, you let me realize, like, okay, wait a minute. So all that we've learned in general TCM
that's what
comes from different.
Because in TCM it's like a put together.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a bit like, I call it a minestrone.
Yeah.
You put
Yeah.
yeah, you put together, and you are left on your own to sort it out.
To sort it out.
Okay? But actually, and not everybody likes to do but I like to, I know my way around the history, and I'm also, my way of thinking is quite analytical, or part of my brain. So you really need to think about that. If you don't think about it, just accept it. But once you start thinking, then like you start saying, oh,
Yeah, it's just,
pretty obvious.
I had
Yeah,
this
I know.
moment, I had this epiphany just now. No, but okay, and so the next, this is you just finished this one in Holland, and the next one's going to be in Switzerland. It's going to start next year.
Yes. So I put this course together. It's a 3-year course, and I taught it in Germany, in German. I'm doing it twice, and I've done it once in English now here in Holland. So having done it 3 times, I know that it was an experiment at first, but I actually know now that it works, and I know that I know now that the people who go through it for 3 years, they come out as better practitioners.
Yeah.
And I'm starting another one, an English one, in Switzerland.
Oh, it's also going to be in English.
Yeah,
All right.
it's in
Okay.
English,
Yeah.
I do one in German and one in English.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's all I teach at the moment, these 3 courses, these courses. So it's pretty intense. So it's not for people who want to come just sit in a course and you have to put effort in.
Yeah.
It's for people who have a basic, like you should have your undergraduate, so to speak.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you should know formulas and you should disease differentiation. But then it doesn't matter where you come from, whether you've done Jingfang or TCM or what. And we try to put.
But I was wondering, is the emphasis more on herbal or
More on
herbal medicine?
herbal.
Okay. All right.
So
Okay.
it's really not an acupuncture course.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
herbal.
So it's a herbal medicine course.
Because I think herbal medicine and acupuncture are not necessarily the same. Like when you do,
Yeah.
acupuncture, you touch people.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can do online.
Yeah.
yes.
But the one in Switzerland is it's a live course. It's not online.
No, we do because we might have people from different European countries. So to make it possible, it's half online and half. So it's twice a year. It's altogether 12 modules.
Yeah.
So 6 are online, 6
6
are
are
in person.
okay.
Yeah.
And it varies. One time online, one time.
That's right.
Oh,
So
okay,
it's like,
alright.
always.
Yeah. So it's not
always
the
a
first
weekend.
half is online.
No,
It's
no.
just various. Okay.
Each year 2 online to
okay,
to
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a hybrid format.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I'm still blown away by you explaining that. But it takes also someone with a historian to come up with this type.
think
I
so,
can
yeah.
imagine. Yeah.
Because, but actually, if you look at we are not taught that, but if you would look at, the problem that outlined, doctors in the history of Chinese medicine, they have always been thinking about this.
Yeah.
And so it's not something that I picked out of the air. It's actually doctors in Chinese medicine have thought about it in the same way that they come up with, okay, let's make TCM. People already had, I could tell you the people involved, but it's
probably
something that has been around for much longer.
Yeah, I was going to
the
say
last
this has
5
been
years,
this has been going on probably for 2,000
Long,
years.
long time.
Yeah. Speaking of history, you wrote 2 books, History of Chinese Medicine.
I wrote a few by now, but
A few, but
but 2 clinical books, the herbal medicine book, and I wrote another one. I edited one on research, and then I wrote one history book about a particular lineage of medicine in China called the Menghe School of Chinese Medicine. It's a group of doctors from close to Nanjing, where you studied.
Okay.
Nanjing and Shanghai.
Yeah.
And very, very influential. And I just looked at the history of Chinese medicine over the last 400 years through this group of doctors. Yes. And then I wrote the other book is called Chinese Medicine in Contemporary China. That I went to Beijing and I did anthropological fieldwork. I just spent time in Beijing in different hospitals and just looked at how Chinese medicine works. Which at that time, this was the early 1990s. In early 1990s, everybody just thought Chinese medicine is one thing. But I look, actually going around different doctors, I found out quickly that it's not one thing.
Yes, that's the same experience I had. You find out very quickly that.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
So that's what the first book is about. It's called Chinese Medicine in Contemporary China, Plurality and Synthesis. Like how it's different, but at the same time, how does it hang together?
Yeah. Okay. Really, and which one is translated back into Chinese?
The Menghe book is translated back in Chinese already, and the first one is at the moment. It has also been translated. I'm just literally in the process of writing the foreword, so it will be out in Chinese as well next year.
That's also really. It's like this is the first time this is happening. Like a Western book has been translated
I think the
about
historical,
TCM.
I don't know for sure, but I think my book was the first time a book by a Western historian got
translated into
because,
Chinese.
The Chinese, why should this Western,
Yeah.
But I think now China is also changing, yes?
Yeah.
So they're becoming quite interested in
But that's also good that you have like a bird's eye view from a separate view. From
different culture.
Yeah.
It's hopefully interesting well, it's definitely, definitely a different way of looking at the history of China or Chinese medicine than it would be for a Chinese person.
Yes, right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Both many things I can't see because obviously I'm looking from the outside, so I'm not really as deep in the culture as a Chinese person would be, and my language skills are limited. But on the other hand, I think I have you can bring something very different to the table.
Yes, it's a very different perspective, and that's what makes it interesting as well. I know we could go on for hours probably, but you have a plane to catch. So thank you very much.
Thanks for the interview.
this.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, and maybe in Switzerland or Berlin, who knows? Okay. See you next time.
Okay, thank you.